Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to a special spur of the moment live stream. Hope you're all doing well now or in the future. Certain events today gave me the inspiration to do this little experiment. Uh, for those of you who are comic book fans, this may interest you. For those of you that aren't, well, maybe it'll interest you. Don't know. I guess we'll find out as we go. So today it was announced quite widely that the Punisher, a character from Marvel Comics that's been around since, I guess the 70s, technically, when he first appeared in the Amazing Spider Man comic books, is getting an upgrade, a revision. For some time now, the Punisher icon, the skull you can see above my avatar here on the screen, has become a symbol of many things to many people, but it also became something that both the military and some police forces used as sort of a inside joke, a rallying cry of one form or another. And that has offended some people because of what the Punisher does or purportedly stands for, depending on who you are. And so today it was announced that the Punisher's iconic image or insignia, I guess I should say, is being revised. Now, whether or not this revision is permanent or temporary, I do not know. But for your edification, here it is. And when I saw this, I was like, so the Punisher is an agent of Surtur now because the horns on there and everything. As far as I understand it, the Punisher is becoming an agent of the Hand, which is a supernatural society of ninja assassins. So now he changes his logo and puts on a quasi suit of samurai armor and now uses swords. I don't know what the plot line is for this story that they're putting together. I don't know how long it's going to last. This may or may not be a permanent change to the character. Who knows? But it got a lot of people up in arms, no pun intended, today. And it just reminded me about why I like the character, what I appreciate about the character, and most importantly, reminded me again of my favorite Punisher story of all time. I have quite an extensive collection of Punisher comic books going back to, well, I mean, I have the first issue of his Unlimited series. He had a limited series that was sort of like a test run. That's what they usually do with comic books, sort of like TV pilots in the early 80s. And then in 1986, they gave him his own series ongoing. And this, as you see before you, is the 45th issue of that first Unlimited series. And I own this comic book. It's in my collection, and I still hold it on high, as I do right now, as probably the most exemplative, quintessential, and one of the best Punisher stories ever told. You may or may not agree with me. You will find out as we go. So, again, this is an experiment. I've never tried something like this before. I will do as much as I can to both describe and obviously read the text of the comic book as we proceed. But I hope you'll forgive me if I stumble here or there because, again, I've never tried something like this before. So, Punisher number 45 from February of 1991. I will give away the title before we get to the title page. It is called One Way Fair. And on the cover here, you can see the Punisher standing on top of a taxi, pointing a hefty looking machine pistol, let's say, down at what looks like someone in the back seat of the taxi having just shot the driver through the head. And the Punisher is saying, "That's the last time you don't tip." I will assure you that is the last corny one-liner you're going to get as we go forward. So here we are. And you have the upward introductory summary of the character. When mobsters slew his family, Frank Castle vowed to spend the rest of his life avenging them. Trained as a soldier and equipped with a state-of-the-art arsenal, he now wages a one-man war on crime. Stan Lee presents The Punisher. And we open on a news reporter outside of a courthouse with her microphone in hand. And we're coming in just as she's introducing where she's from. Technically, she's saying action news, but the TV's being turned on in the middle of the word. Shun News. Today brings us a startling development in the Ricky Del Mara story. The story of a child gunned down in front of his own house when violence, drug violence, exploded on his street. Fatal shots allegedly fired by this man, Delbert Rogovsky, suspected dealer in crystal methamphetamines, or crank. And we see a very lion-maned hair 1980s bad guy pushing his way through the crowd with his lawyer as the camera follows him. But today, Delbert Rogovsky is free on $50,000 bail, and there is a public outcry at this seeming injustice. From the steps of the courthouse, this is, and the TV is shut off. And we cut to the Punisher, feet up on the table, drink in hand, remote control in the other, as he contemplates what's going on in front of him. Behind him, in the background, an individual works with, looks like a soldering iron or something, doing some kind of work. And in thought bubbles, the Punisher says, "He'll jump, I know that, and I'll be there to catch him when he falls." Dun, dun, dun. Moving on to the next page. I may have to zoom in as we go page to page here, so if there are any spoilers that you spot as we go forward, well, they're unavoidable. We cut to exterior, New York City. The rain is pouring down. There's over 11,000 cabs in New York City, and almost nobody has a good word to say about any of them. But when it's raining, New Yorkers keep their opinions to themselves. They hate the cabbies even more. New York cabbies are near legendary for their surliness and indifference. It's their suit of armor. And we cut to the interior of a taxi cab with a driver looking back at a shadowy figure getting in the back seat. Where are you going? But somebody out there hates them with more than the usual venom. I'm not going far, but you are. Hey, hey, choom, choom. Two shots ring out from inside the taxi cab, and because this is a comic book, pink explosion / blood and glass come out of the front window. Now, I want you all to remember as we proceed, this is not a graphic novel. This was not an issue that was behind the counter or anything. This is the kind of material that the Punisher did on a regular comic book out on the stands back in the early 90s. And that's significant for several reasons as we go forward. On to the next page. Okay. Title page, One Way Fair. And now I think I have to zoom in a little bit here. Okay. 5 cabbies in as many weeks, all done with a .44 Magnum, probably a Charter Arms Bulldog, David Berkowitz's weapon of choice. No sex angle, no big names. The press is ignoring it. The cops have better things to do. Time for me to pull a few late nights. Micro promised me wheels by tonight. And we see before us a regulation-looking taxi sketched out in the comic book about as probably technically and proportionally correct as you could imagine. That was one of the mainstays of early Punisher comics, was the technical accuracy of both the equipment and everything else going around. Is it done? A minute, says Micro. This is written by Chuck Dixon, one of the best Punisher writers I can recall. Todd Smith is the penciler. Dan Bolan, I'm probably going to get this wrong, Bolanati is the inker. Ken Lopez is the letterer. John Wellington is the colorist. Don Daly, the editor. And Tom DeFalco, editor-in-chief. All right, on to the next page. Let's see. Oops, sorry about that. I zoomed in too much. Let's try that again. That going to work? Hopefully that works. Is it the way I want it, Micro? Do I ever disappoint? Don't answer that, Frank. Just finish the plate steel underside. You could drive it over a minefield. Solid rubber tires, pierced steel plate in the doors, front seat, trunk, and front grille, roll bar too. 450 V8 and supercharger to haul this monster around, extra heavy-duty shocks to carry the weight, Lexan windows all around, and Lexan in the screen behind your head. And my surprise package? Like you asked for, a pull ring by the gear shift. I did a dry test, works like a charm. Looks good. Anything new on Rogovsky? Thought you never ask. Let me show you what I found out. Yeah, Microchip was the guy that wanted to take down crime but physically couldn't handle the wet work, so to speak. So he teamed up with Frank, and he does all the logistics and all the equipment. He's the guy in the chair, as is the popular phrase now. There's nothing new here, Microman. That's what happens when they skip bail, Frank. They crawl under a rock. The cops are turning up zilch. He should never have made bail. Crank dealer guns down a 6-year-old. Kid is playing on his own stoop, and these animals have a territory dispute in broad daylight. So they set the bail at 50 grand. Rogovsky makes that in a day. Find me something. This loser is stupid. He'll resurface, and I'll be there. I'll be on the road near his turf. I hear anything, I'll radio you. Oh, I put an AM FM cassette player in. You didn't ask for that. I'll give you a report when I get back in the morning. Happy motoring. Yeah, so Frank is going out. We're about to find out in what capacity. 4 of the 5 drivers were blown away along Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn. The other one on 3rd Avenue. They all got theirs between 2 in the morning and dawn. One note, you'll forgive me, the transfer of the image here, the ink has smeared a little bit, so some of the words might be a little bit tough for me to make out at times. Okay. Has to be a crazy. The crazies love the dead hours of the night. Their fevers drive them out into the streets in those hours. Those hours suit me just fine. Cabbies know the killer's MO. They're staying off these streets. It's been a week since the last cabbie was killed. The odds look good. Lowlifes out at this hour. Any one of them could be the guy I'm looking for. Now, I want you to notice that one of the things that makes a Punisher story is the character of New York City. And there may be others, of course, but I don't think any Punisher story I recall from my youth quite makes New York part of the story and a character in and of itself than One Way Fair. Because the culture, the attitude, the philosophy of New York and New Yorkers plays a key role in the plot of this story. You see the underbelly of the world in the long hours before dawn, the leftovers of a night out on the town. And Frank's driving, and behind him in the back seat is a girl punching a guy, probably for trying something on her or having a bad date. The wheelers and dealers fat with easy cash. And behind Frank in this next montage is a decidedly very stereotypical pimp and presumably his girl or something else, who knows. The punks with nothing to do but roam the dark streets looking for thrills. 3 guys looking like Dick Tracy but playing a boombox. The dreamers who get washed up in the gutter after the night is through with them. And you've got some girl, I'm not quite sure if this is supposed to be a lady with like a bruise on her face or she's just like sad. And then you've got some punk girl sitting next to her. Then there's just plain trouble. Where are you going? And behind Frank is a guy with his trench coat all pulled up around his neck, looking a little suspicious. Get the cash out and keep your hands where I can see them. Calm down, buddy. I got what you want right here. And Frank steps on the brake suddenly, and the guy's head is thrown back. Hey! Brum! Screech! And then the guy flungs forward into the Lexan glass, his head's all bleeding. 32 5-shot revolver, an old lady's purse pistol. This guy's a little fish. I throw him back. I personally love that line. This guy's a little fish. I throw him back. Okay. Now, the exterior of a burger joint somewhere in the middle of the city. I anticipated most of the problems I'd run into. Vomit in the back seat, the boredom, drunk drivers. And now Frank is inside the restaurant eating a fast food cheeseburger with some fries at a table by himself, and he's being approached by somebody wearing a fedora. That your cab outside? Yeah, but I'm off duty. I don't want a ride, dirtbag. Name's Winslow. I'm with the Hack Bureau. Good photo. You almost look human. Huh. Interesting cab you got out there. I checked the numbers and it didn't even exist. You want to show me your hack license? Gotta hand it to you. A lot of gypsy cabs in this town, but you got the only one disguised as a legit cab. Look, I had a good night so far. Maybe we can make an arrangement. How good a night? This good. And Frank slams down three $100 bills into the middle of his ketchup laden cheeseburger and then gets up and walks out. And the Hack Bureau detective says, just the way I like it, extra lettuce. Again, showing off the very sort of down and dirty noir aspect of the Punisher that I don't think is given a whole lot of energy these days. I could be mistaken. It's been a long time since I paid attention to the Punisher since they've made so many goofy changes to him. Outside, getting back into his cab, Frank is waved down by someone. Are you going back on duty? Yeah, my lunch break got cut short. I need a ride to Queens College. My car just broke down over there. Hop in. She seems nervous. Probably doesn't like this neighborhood at this hour. And then over the radio, which is micro, Frank hears, this is dispatcher to car 10A7. Go ahead, micro. I'm listening. I'm monitoring the police scanner, Frank. Some cops over near you ID'd Rogovsky and they're trailing him, awaiting backup. Where? They're moving south on 4th Avenue. They're just crossing St. John's, doing the speed limit. I'm on it, micro. I'm 4 blocks from there. Keep me posted. And as he's driving down the road, Frank does a J-turn, effectively, screeches to a halt, and turns around heading the other direction at speed. The woman in the back seat, getting an extremely angry and scared look on her face, says, or sorry, she's got a look on her face, and Frank says, look, lady, I'm going to pull over and let you out. In this neighborhood? At this hour? I'm staying right here. Suit yourself. Frank, they spotted the cops. They're taking off like a demon on wheels. And then Frank lets out a expletive made up of several different symbols in the on the keyboard. So let me get a little closer there. Back to micro on the radio. They make it to Prospect Park. They'll be able to get on the I don't know what that is, Gaumanis Expressway and be gone. I know that, micro. There's going to be cops after this guy, Frank. You sure you want to get high profile like this? The cops have directives about high-speed chases. They'll call it off after a while. I don't have any of those kind of restrictions. Sit back and put the safety belt on, ma'am. The lady in the backseat is freaking out, and Frank's just taking off like nobody's business. Because Frank's on a mission. This is the thing about the Punisher as compared to a lot of superheroes. Peter Parker, yeah, Spider-Man's his secret identity. He's got to split his time and his attention between real life and being a superhero. Being the Punisher is Frank's job. He gets to do it and has to do it all the time. Okay, overhead shot of traffic as Frank weaves in and out of traffic in the taxi. I'm turning onto 4th and 9th Street. Where are they, Micro? Just a minute. They just crossed 8th. Black Chevy 4x4. I got him. Thanks, Micro Man. And then Frank sideswipes this truck. And in the back, in the bed of the truck, there's 2 guys. One guy's got, I think, a machine gun of some kind or a shotgun. And another guy's behind him. You got a guy with a ponytail and a guy with red hair. The Blazer is heavier than I thought. Higher, too. Remember, Frank's taxi here isn't a real taxi. It's basically a tank on wheels. This is going to get messy. Yeah, so you got 2 guys in the bed of the truck with machine guns. Looks like an Uzi and maybe a, not sure, maybe a Tech 9 or a Mac 10 or something. And they're both taking aim at Frank in his taxi. These dealers have a cowboy mentality. They get it from the leniency of the law and the image created for them by the press. And they use a lot of the poison they sell. That ruins their judgment. Nothing wrong with my judgment. And so they start shooting at the car, which of course is effectively bullet resistance, if not proof. He sideswipes the car, knocks one of the guys out of the bed, out of the truck, and onto the roof of his cab. And then with the guy hanging on to the roof, to the front of the cab, Frank just hits the brakes real quick, and the guy goes flying off into the concrete. My reflexes are sharp. My mind is clear. It helps to have a goal in life. And we just see the guy with the ponytail just lying there in the street, probably dead or at least severely injured. You know, that's what you do. You also have to remember that the Punisher became a lot more popular, or very popular, in the 80s because a lot of the issues, the early issues, addressed crime that was actually happening in the real world, drug crime, specifically, crack cocaine and things like that. So he could comment on this kind of stuff, and it was very relevant back then. Okay. So now we're in the interior of the car. There's 3 guys in there. Rogofsky, some guy in a tank top that looks like Trevor from GTA 5, and somebody else with a Mac 10. Who is this guy? One psycho cab driver, man. Some kind of good guy. Some loser thinks he's the Lone Ranger or something. No way, no day. He's going to catch me. We make the Gowanus, and we are gone. I'm assuming Gowanus is maybe it's a renamed thing. It's a real place in New York. I don't know the territory that well. And Frank back in his cab chasing these guys. Micro, I'm turning west on Prospect. He's going for the Gowanus Expressway. Any more on the police bands? Nothing about a cab. They're setting up roadblocks at the off-ramps for the BQE. Then I have to nail him before we get to the Brooklyn Queens. Look, could you let me out here? The meter's off, okay? Just sit back and let me concentrate. Ladies just go nuts. And then back to the truck. He's still on our butt, Dell. Let him come. I'll blow this sucker off the road. I wish I had some fancy action music to play underneath this right now, but I'm not so sophisticated. All right, now we're looking at the traffic from the front end. The bad guy truck in front of us, a vanity license plate that says Rogo, and Frank's cab off to the side. Have to keep him off the BQE. Aim him toward the battery tunnel. I can tie him up there. Make the turn! Make the turn! Shit, this creep is blocking me, bad guys say. Waste this guy! We're trying, Dell. This guy's got like a James Bond car or something. You guys are useless. They're like emptying their Mac 10s and their Uzis on the car, and nothing's happening. And then the lady in the back seat, as she's like covering her head, and you see like bullet sparks going off the back window. Let me out! Let me out of this cab! Relax. It's bulletproof. Now cut down on the noise. I'm driving. Technically, he should say bullet resistant. Nothing's bulletproof, but anyway. Too much traffic as we near the tunnel. If I'm going to take him, it has to be now. And it's an overhead shot of all this traffic heading into the bottleneck of the tunnel. Okay. One of the options Micro installed, a 1,000-watt strobe light in the place of my backing up lights. It has the same effect as staring into the sun for an hour, only it hurts more. That's the driver of the truck getting blinded. Can't see! Jeez! And then a couple of gunshots, and the truck crashes off the side of the road and starts. One of the guys flips out of the truck and is about to crash into the concrete. And Frank screeches to a halt in front of him. Oh boy. Punisher does not mess around. They must have been doing at least 90. Even if he lives, Rogofsky's dealing days are history. Meter's back on, lady. Queen's College, right? I'm going to be sick. Pull over, please. As soon as I can. I said I'm going to be sick. All right, I'm stopping. Just open the door first. I don't know who you are. I don't care. You're driving a cab, so you die. I didn't see this one coming. Women are still my blind side. I'm not sure why that is. I've met so many I couldn't trust. This is where we get into the stuff that makes this story so much more than what you might think otherwise. Remember, this is not a graphic novel. This is a regular issue on the stand. All the Lexan in the world won't save me from a point blank shot. I'm not a cab driver, lady. I only borrowed this rig. You think I believe you? You think I care? She has a story. They always have a story. This city has no heart, but you, Slime, are the most heartless. You don't care. You don't feel. You're more a machine like the cars you drive. She's lost in it, reliving it. My car broke down. I called and I called for a cab. I tried to wave one of you down. You wouldn't stop. Not in that neighborhood. I had to walk home. It was late. I was raped because you wouldn't stop. I give her a chance. You don't want to do this. Expletive. You'll never know how much I want to do this. She isn't taking it. And Frank is pulling the aforementioned ring on the gear shift that Micro mentioned having installed in the thing. What does that do? Double-barreled sawed-off loaded with double-aught mounted at a slant under the front seat. It's ugly, but I wasn't sure how many there would be. So for those of you listening, yes, underneath the front seat, aimed up at the back seat under the floorboards, was a double-barreled sawed-off shotgun controlled by the ring on the gear shift. And it's aimed straight up at whoever's sitting in the back seat. And the entire top of the cab goes up with a karumph. Didn't anticipate the noise. The Lexan cut down some of it. Then over the radio, Micro's voice. Frank? She was hunting the wrong animal. If she went after rapists, I'd have helped her, given her a better handgun and some advice. Frank? You have to keep things in perspective. You have to keep your judgment clear. Frank? You have to have a goal in life. I'm here, Micro, but you're going to have to speak up. I couldn't get you. The police bands are burning up. Anything about a yellow cab? Nada. You heading back to the barn? Yeah, I should be there in half an hour. Anything you want ready when you get here? Just have the hose hooked up. Say again? Frank? Frank, you still there? Frank? As the taxi cab goes one direction on the bridge and all the emergency responders to the crash go the other direction. So, yeah, there you go. That is my favorite Punisher issue ever. Favorite story. Why is that? Well, it has all the elements of a good Punisher story. It makes New York a character, first and foremost. It shows the moral center of a fashion for Frank Castle. You know, he wants to punish this guy who killed a kid and apparently got off easy and would be doing more damage. He's there to, after a fashion, supplement the failures of the system. But at the same time, he's also looking out for people who otherwise would not be looked out for, like the cabbies being killed. But on top of that, you have the twist of who was actually killing the cabbies and why. And the subject matter here is, I would say, even for a comic book from the 90s, having jumped ahead as far as we have here, very mature for the time. I can tell you, being, what was I, like a 12, 13 years old at the time? That was pretty heavy stuff. And you could buy this comic book right alongside the latest issue of Spider-Man. So a lot of very serious issues were tackled in those early issues of The Punisher. This is one example of something that had pretty heavy material in it. Either right before or right after within the same range. Like the first 40 or 50 issues of the Punisher comic book had some interesting stuff. There was one issue where the Punisher takes down a pedophile ring at a military private college or private school. You would not see that in just a regular issue of a comic book these days. There's an issue where he took down some Klansmen who were chasing a flag burner. I mean, the Punisher protecting a flag burner, a Marine veteran, you know, all types of issues like that. The Punisher tackled a whole bunch of things you would not see regular superheroes tackling, and that was the utility, and is still the utility of the character in telling those kind of stories, those darker, grittier, noir type stories. Do I think that some of the material that Punisher handled back then should have been out on the shelves necessarily for younger kids to read? I'm not so Puritan as to say absolutely not, but there were a few that tread the line. I won't deny it. There were a few that tread the line, I think, as to what might have been appropriate for just out on the shelf without some kind of, parental guidance otherwise. But maybe that's just my political correctness showing. But yeah, New York is a character. The Punisher on one mission but gets sidetracked into another mission. A twist at the end that shows you real life and real life consequences that are far outside what a regular superhero has to deal with. You take away the skull on his chest, and this could have been just a flat vigilante noir dark story. It has nothing to do with superheroes, has nothing to do with superpowers. It's very grounded and real in a lot of ways. And there was a level of catharsis in having this character around to sort of feel like there was some control over the madness that was going on at the time and the drug crimes and everything else. But also showing that, the Punisher exists in a very, very gray area of the world, right? This lady, in her own mind, she was punishing those that had done her wrong. Not unlike, to a certain extent, what the Punisher does as a matter of course. He goes after criminals, not unlike those that did him wrong. But the Punisher justifies his actions because he's going after bad guys. Obviously, the lady in this story was going after people who could be completely innocent, but she blamed them all as a collective. There's a lot of subtext here, a lot of things going on. And as a consequence, both as a character piece to show off the Punisher as he operates, his relationship with Microchip, his relationship with New York, with big crime and unnoticed crime and the moral ambiguities in between. That's why Punisher 45, One Way Fair, is my favorite Punisher story, and I think is really everything that a Punisher story should have, and shows off the character really well. If you knew nothing else about the character, this is as good a starting point as you could ask for, I think. So, with that, that is my quasi-dramatic reading of The Punisher, number 45 from his first Unlimited series, February of 1991. If you enjoyed this kind of thing, let me know in the comments. I've never tried it before. I don't know if I'll ever do it again, but I was inspired with all the Punisher hubbub going on today. Elsewise, everyone, thank you for joining me. I hope you're all safe and well. If you're not well, please get well soon, and I will see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.